Hello, Chad Schimmel here at Turner's Warehouse, and today I'm going to make a pizza cutter. And before I get started, I just wanted to show you what I'm going to be using. So first of all is our pizza cutter kit. Really nice stainless steel 4-inch, meant for some serious pizza cutting. I'm going to be using our universal mandrel system. This is the mandrel that will hold the blank on the lathe, and these are the bushings. And the reason this mandrel system is so cool is these bushings just slide on, and then they match up perfectly to the size of the project I'm turning. So this case, it uses a 15/16. We also have them for bottle openers, bottle stoppers, and other kitchen gadgets. What I really like about this mandrel system is it makes it nice and safe. So we put a knurled insert into the blank, and then it just threads on here. And you have a very secure, safe way to turn it. And I still do use the tailstock to turn, but this gets me a nice solid way to turn it. If I was turning it just with the blank tapped, I'm at risk of busting threads loose and having it come out and come off the lathe. So this is my preferred method to turn it. So let's get started. So first thing I'm going to do is get my center, which my little pen center finder here is a little short, but you get the idea. It's essentially going to point at the center. And then we're going to take this over to the drill, and we're going to drill a 1/2 inch hole, 0.66 inches deep, and that'll completely cover the knurl into the blank. I got my blank in the vise here. I'm going to drill it. Luckily with my drill press I can set a 0. So now that I'm there, I'm going to go ahead and set 0 up here. And I'm going to go in 0.66. I'm going to peck drill this, right, so I don't overheat it. And I always like to have this here because I like to test fit it. And my hole's not quite center. A little bit, just a little bit proud of that, so I'll probably go in just a tiny bit more. So now my insert's just below the surface. So I'm going to go ahead and epoxy that in. I'm going to use 5-minute epoxy and just mix up a little bit here. I'm using mercury. And the key is you want plenty of epoxy, but you don't want it to squish into your knurled insert. So I like to put it around the inside of the hole in a light manner, but then around the knurl insert as well, and that'll squish it all together once it gets in there. If my thing isn't too big here, use this end. I'm just going to kind of spin this and spread it around. And I don't really want it to pool at the bottom, so I'm going to pull it back to the side here. And then I've got this, you can see it's unthreaded a little bit. I'm going to spread this around. Make sure I get plenty on here. And then I push this in, and I'll kind of spin it. And that'll squish it all together. And then I just back out the mandrel, make sure my insert is set. Wipe off any excess on the top here. And wipe off any excess on the mandrel, which I don't know that there was any. But. And now, this is 5-minute epoxy, but I give it at least half an hour to cure. If I can do longer, I will. All right, so setting up the blank is super easy. Our knurled insert is now glued in. We are gonna just thread it right on. And I didn't do a very good job of drilling it in the center because it's very out of round, but you can see I have plenty of material. I'm gonna put the tailstock up and lock it, and I'm ready to turn. All right, so I'm gonna polish this up now. I'm gonna do 400 Abranet wet, 600 Abranet wet Zona paper. And the reason I'm doing the 400, because I normally start at 600 or 800, is this is a bigger piece. I've got a couple of lines in here from my turning, and it'll just go a little quicker. So I'm gonna use the 400 real quickly, not for a long time, just to take out my tool marks. And then I'll go right to the 600. By using this wet, you'll see the dust is in the water. It doesn't come up on me or in the air, which is really nice. And this Abranet works great wet or dry. So I'm just gonna get the main areas with this 400. And these blanks sand down really quickly, so you don't have to use a really aggressive grit or very long. Even after the 600, it'll look really good. But you can see when I drop that in there, all the dust that comes out of the Abranet. I'll do it again, ready? So I just want to look at this now, make sure that I don't have any big lines or marks, and I can go right to the 600. So I cleaned up all my little marks with that 4, and now I'm going to go to 6. And my design here, I've got a bulb on each end, since this is a cutter. That way you can push and have a stop, so to speak, for your hand at the front and a stop at the back. Seems to work good for pizza cutters. It's already looking pretty nice. All right, so Zona, we're just gonna go through the 6 grits of Zona. I think it's about 800 through 15,000 in terms of grits. And the green definitely takes off the most. But this stuff won't take out big tool marks or scratches, so you gotta get that with the sandpaper. And then you can do this to polish. So Zona will only make your marks shiny, it won't take them out. I guess unless you sat on it forever. But I can already see the color starting to shine through the sanding here. So this is orange and black, super clever name. Or I'm sorry, orange and purple. There's no black. But I'm just using the Zona. I do longer in the beginning. So the green I do the longest because it's the most. And then I do about, I don't know, 30 seconds or a minute on something big like this, because obviously you're not on the whole thing. So you got to treat each area. You know, if you're just doing a pen, you're right there in one spot, but this is a little bigger. And this is about the biggest I like to use the Zona paper. Normally I cut it smaller for pens. So this just gets it really shiny, and I'm just using it to wrap. You can see I'm kind of pulling it into the corners like that. That way I can get the whole thing shiny. I don't want to miss the corners. But this, you can tell already it's shining through. By the time you get to the last couple papers, the piece should be shining. If it's not shining really well, you might want to try starting over. But I can see the shine already through it. Even though it's wet, you can see beyond that. And I don't typically, but you can always do a plastic polish at the end if you just need a little shine. Sometimes I use our ring bling for a little extra shimmer if it just needs a little shininess to it. But if you do this Zona well, you shouldn't need that. So this is the last one. And sometimes it's good to change your water if you've got it really dirty like this, but we should be okay here. This is only one project, and that's how dirty the water got. So if you can swap it out easily, do. This will really get it shining here, this last grit. All right, let's see how it looks. So we need to dry it off. So I'm gonna dry it, but I'm not gonna rotate it too fast because I don't want to scratch it with the paper towel. But you can see that's pretty good and shiny. I'll put a little ring bling on it here. So this just gives it a little extra. And you just put a little on a paper towel. This large piece needs a little more, I think. I'm just making sure to get that ring bling everywhere. All right. There it is, nice and shiny. Good handle, let's go to assembly. All right, so this is pretty easy. You're literally threading it on. So if you need assistance with the threading on. All right, that's a cool looking handle. Now the question is, will it cut? Will it cut? It will cut.